welcome back to our webinar session hosted by UNDP Project Code Unnati, Head Held High Foundation in partnership with SAP Labs. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾತಿ ಶೆನೈ, ನಾನು ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ ಕೋಚ್ ಆಗಿ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೋಡ್ ಉನ್ನತಿ. ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು we bring people and industry experts together on one platform to explore career paths, soft skills, and other interesting things that fascinates young minds. Now, coming to this project called Unnati, it is aimed in empowering youth and women for future employability skills, career guidance, 21st century. ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಕೆರಿಯರ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮತ್ತೆ 21st ಸೆಂಚುರಿ ಅನ್ನ 12,000 ಯುವ ಜನಾಂಗರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ, ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಮೆಂಟರ್ಶಿಪ್, ಅಪ್ರೆಂಟಿಸ್ಶಿಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜಾಬ್. ಇದು 3 ವರ್ಷದ್ದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ವಿತ್ UNDP ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, UNV ಅಂಡ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ SAP ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಅಂಡ್ ಇದನ್ನು HHH ಹೆಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಹೈ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ರೂರಲ್, ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡ, ರಾಯಚೂರು. ನಾವು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವಿತ್ ಅಸ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ದೇವನ್ PP. ಇವರು ENT ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇವರು AJ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, AJ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮೆಡಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಹ ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ he has also written journals and he has won gold medals. He has written chapters on various medical topics. Overall, he is really an all-rounder, not only in the medical field, but also he gives a very good contribution to the youth. Sir, we welcome you for our webinar session today.
Swati, I'm so interested and grateful to be here this morning. Thank you so much for accepting my presence here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So shall we start our webinar discussion?
Yes.
Yes. Sir, Nama Yuva Jananga, our youths would like to know about your career journey up to now as a medical health professional. Can you share your views on this?
My career?
Please take us through your career journey up to now as a medical health professional. How did you prepare?
Swati, your name, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, let me tell you that, what parents fail to realize is they make their students study so hard until 10th standard. By the time they make them rank, distinction, and by the time they reach their 10th, there is a burnout. In my case, it was just the opposite, because I was a happy-to-go-lucky student, barely managing to pass, and until the 9th standard, life was fun. But once I reached the 10th standard, I realized that marks is the only way forward those days, the only way. So suddenly in the middle of 10th standard, self-realization dawned, a spark got ignited in me. And then I realized that I need to do extremely well to be able to go forward. So half of 10th onwards, day and night studies, 10th standard exams came. I did pretty well. I had the requisite marks. By the time my father got transferred to Trichur, where I got into pre-degree group 2. Now in Kerala, there's a unique system. Either group 1 means engineering or group 2 means medicine.
Okay.
Now having got into group 2, it is do or die, because if I don't get into
medical field. Hello. Hello, you're not audible. Toshi?
Yes. I think his network is like got pretty silent.
You can hear me?
Back.
You were stuck in between.
Yeah, now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were talking about your group 2. Hello.
Once I got into PUC, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Once I got into group 2, I realized that marks
There's disturbance.
I used to study And, we have in Kerala, I suppose in other colleges now also, this thing called per subject. And I used to absolutely master them. Now, people ask me, how many hours would you study? Of course, I would come back from college and sit down for 2 hours and get up and have my dinner at 9:30. I've slept till 9:30, get up and have my dinner. And then I sit down to study, and I sit there till morning 6 o'clock every single
Oh,
day. So the moment I tell this to parents, I have the same reaction. They immediately say, "Oh my God," and they tell their children, "Listen, look at him. How much effort he has put in every single day from 9:30 to morning 6 o'clock." However, in Kerala, the Kerala Malayali English, somehow it burnt in me that I should have good English. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I would switch on a small transistor that my father had given, listen to Voice of America. They read the English news very slowly. It's called special English. I would
okay.
pick just one word, write it in a book, and practice that 1,000 times throughout the day. So that at the end of the day, I am perfect with one English word. That's also what I did. And as a consequence, both first year and second year, I had 100 out of 100 in physics and maths.
Oh,
My Hindi teacher asked me, I will not believe it. What do you mean? Even a dot is not out of place? I said, sir, one thing, let me make it very clear. Even a dot is not out of place. Why? Because as a doctor, if what dot is out of place, death will happen. And this is called decimal deaths. A Boeing full of patients, a Boeing full, 300, 400 people, a Boeing full of patients die every year in America alone because a dot is out of place when a doctor writes a drug. These are called decimal deaths. So
yeah.
only the very best, only the very hardworking, very focused, very hardworking only should come into medicine because you're dealing with lives. So
Yes.
therefore, I had 100 out of 100, and because of my marks and because of my Karnataka domicile, I got into the Karnataka government merit seat in Manipal. Manipal at
Oh,
that time was a unique institution, and they have 6 seats in for the Karnataka domicile through merit. And my father paid 800 rupees, which now colleges charge 1 crore 12 lakhs. That
oh,
is the value of marks, you see. So
yes.
800 into 5 years, it was sort of 8,530, about 3.5 to 4,000 rupees was my entire MBBS tuition fees. That is the only way you should study medicine. Now people pay crores and crores and come into medicine and then pay again crores and crores and go into post graduation. I disagree with all that. You should,
Yes.
if you are wanting to deal with human lives, you got to be the very best, and only the cream of academics should come into medicine, because how many sometimes things go wrong and patients become violent and ruthless against doctors because of all the mess that we are in. So that's
Yes.
my journey. And of course, in Manipal, I wanted to later. The unique thing about Manipal is if you have good marks, then they will give postgraduate seats again on merit. And I wanted a specialty that offers medicine as well as surgery. And the moment that I kept my algorithm very clear, 2 subjects opened up, either ophthalmology or ENT. And of course,
Oh,
ENT had a lot of options, and plus there was a lot of potential in the hometown, which I will eventually settle in, which is why I picked ENT. But then the rest is history because we have made a huge amount of breakthroughs, and as you know, so many fields. The only cure in the world for a dozen illnesses with me. And I always tell students, be the best in the world. The world should gravitate towards you. Now, of course, we have patients from America, from Canada, from Germany, from Switzerland, Holland, and so many across the world people come because the only cure for a variety of illnesses, like for example, in vertigo, Meniere's disease, position vertigo, migraine, it's all
yes.
it's all available with me. So the world comes to me for the relief.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how it is.
So there's a miracle in your hands. I agree with it. So you mean to say we should have a zeal, passion, and the fire to achieve what we want?
That's the way it's got to be. You got to be really focused. You must have that fire in you to excel. You must have that ambition and drive, and you must have that commitment. And on top of that, there's one thing that dictates a person's success, that is one word only, and that is humility. If I've seen people, when they achieve and when they become marks and they become headstrong and they look down upon others, now that will not augur well. You must have humility. Humility is a hallmark to greatness. What takes a person up is not what is outside, but what is inside. If you're humble, whatever it is, hard work will be rewarded. There's no doubt on that. A hot air balloon goes up not by what is outside, but what is inside. If you're humble, and if the hot air balloon wants to go even further up, it will throw weights outside. What are the weights? Anger, jealousy, and pride, and evil.
Ego.
You have to throw those weights outside, you will go to the very top. I've seen hundreds of students. If they are humble and hardworking, you will go to the very top.
Very true, very true. Okay, let me ask you one more question. What are the different pathways and roles for pre-university students who have taken up science?
In order to come into medicine, biology is an important component, and if that is missing, they simply cannot enter the medical stream, which means they must have zoology and botany as part of their subjects of study, apart from physics and chemistry. Maybe they could also incorporate electronics. Maybe they could also incorporate the social arts. I'm not very clear on those, but biology and botany, zoology and botany, apart from physics and chemistry, are an absolute prerequisite. Without that, they cannot expect to come into the medical stream. And on top of that, of course, they got to be really very good employee. Just now, I got a call from a student who had come for my learning technique program. Now, of course, he's passed with distinction and gone on to join PGI Chandigarh for his post-graduation. Learning is an art, and you must inculcate the art of learning to really, really do well. Some people simply do not have that art and they do not do well academically.
Yes. So how should the students prepare for their board exams and CET in pre-university stage?
The thing is, today, of course, it's all standardized and there's got a very clear format, and enough material is available online on the exam pattern. Enough question banks and question papers are available, and the syllabus also is available. So they have to, from day one, prepare thoroughly on these available question banks. Prepare thoroughly every single chapter. My professor used to tell me, if you want to really master, you need to read your text as many times as the number of pages it contains. What a dialogue it was. As many number of, I would have maybe each question from my question bank, I would have practiced that 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 times until I am error free. So that is the level of, and apart from that, do questions come out of the syllabus? No, rarely they do. Which means for syllabus wise, we have defined specific textbooks in physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, cover to cover. Just memorize it, memorize it. Memorization is the way forward. Even though current educationists argue against, memorization is the way forward. If I can, with average intelligence, memorize our medical first Gray's Anatomy textbook, nearly about 1,000 pages, cover to cover, word to word. If I can do that, anybody can do that. Only thing, you need to have the determination, which is why, the ancient body of texts across the world, the Gita, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, the Veda, they're all in verse form to be memorized word to word. I used to joke, if you memorize something, changes happen in your genetic architecture. Today, of course, we do know it is true because certain changes will happen. And if you look at the, mosque, not that, not that I have any religious or political bent, but if you look at those who are called the Moilars, the educationists of the Quran, how thorough they are with their verses. That's how good and thorough you should be. You should be absolutely a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. You have enough time. 24 hours is more than enough. And using my methodology, 2 hours a day is enough.
Yes, very true. That was a good suggestion. Now, I would like to ask you one question. Now, we are all aware that there's a change in education policy. So, what do you think in the medical field, how the students should choose their subjects in the coming year?
As you know, there has been a change in the syllabus of the medical college too. The new program that students are studying about a year back onwards. It's called CBMA, Competency Based Medical Education. There's so much there, but the two major areas that doctors should have a knowledge of has been neglected, and I'm so sad it is like this. What are the two areas? In fact, after my MBBS, I in fact went to the law school director asking that can I join for the morning course in law LLB, because what is a major issue for doctors? Legal problems. And when a summons happen, a doctor should know how to respond to it, how to, because today is a legal climate, how to practice defensive medicine so that later on it does not translate into a legal problem. So legal medicine is something every student must learn once they're into the MBBS course. The second thing which doctors really become stuck in is finance. So something about finance, where to invest, how to look after your finances once things start growing. Because the income tax department for a large number of years after passing, you will be struggling and nobody will be there to help you. But the moment you start bringing in good money as a reflection of your competence, that is the time when the income tax fellows will come knocking at your door. And that time you're totally unawares of how you should have prepared over a period of time. So finance and legal medicine is something that students should be up to date also.
So I think now it may be a good news for the students that along with the science subjects, even the arts and the commerce part they can choose so that they can be competent enough to be a doctor.
Yeah, what I want to respond to is, in fact, among my classmates, we had a discussion, a very fiery discussion. I said the Britishers who governed the educational system in India, they intentionally avoided finance, economics, and commerce up to class 10. Did you realize we study history, geography, science, political science, English, Hindi? Why didn't we have some exposure to finance, economics, commerce? Because if we did, we will become masters of finance and we will rule the world. So, realizing our intellectual potential, the Britishers who governed the academic climate of India made sure, I told them that they made sure that these three crucial subjects were avoided. What prevented students from studying it? But the 10th up to 10th, the system is such that these three crucial subjects were avoided. So I now have an inkling to start a separate university program up to graduate level in which all of this will be incorporated.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, how can students, irrespective of what course they have taken, learn how to learn better? Any techniques, any tricks would
Oh,
you like
certainly,
to?
yes. Certainly, because later on as a doctor, I realized that in the brain, there is something called a short-term and a long-term memory molecule. Now, in the process of study, what should we ensure that what we study gets converted into the long-term memory molecule? That happens in a specific area of the brain called the hippocampus area, and that requires a specific technique, a technique which Professor, the chief guy who talked about learning and academics, who said, Alvin Toffler, professor of economics, he said, if you have mastered the art of learning, no door will stand in your way. Unfortunately, the
Hello. Hello.
Yes, again, network issue from his side.
has evaporated. And that is when they have that shock. They say, oh my God. They say, oh my God, I'm not able to remember anything. Why? Because this conversion technique has not happened. That requires a particular methodology, and that's a different subject and nearly about an hour and a half altogether in learning techniques to do outstandingly well. I conduct a program called, we will do that later on, I suppose, learning to learn, how to read, how to remember, how to recall,
Yes.
how to reproduce and do well in exams.
Yes. And your technique really worked well because I tried it personally. You had given me a book.
Yeah,
Just
because
read and close the book, recollect, write, open the
yes,
book, check, right? If I'm
yes,
not wrong.
countless students. What is my greatest happiness? Years down the lane, those who have come at the 8th standard level, 10th standard level, years down the lane, they say, sir, I'm now an MD, doctor, professor. I'm now a career. I'm now a psychologist. I'm now an engineer. I'm now a chartered accountant. And it gives me great pleasure to see them achieve all of that on merit. not by paying money, on merit. Once they understand the techniques of learning, there is a quantum jump in academic performance. That is amazing, and how it works. Thank you for
So,
acknowledging me.
yeah, thank you. So, what is the best career advice you have received?
The best career advice I can give is not,
You have
I tell
received.
students,
You
I
have
have,
received and you give.
yeah, what I have received is one day we were traveling in a train, and this radiology technician, sometimes your greatest advice can come from the smallest people. And we were traveling as a family. He told me and my children, whatever you do, it might be however small an area, but what you do, be the best in the world. My God, it burnt into my heart. And that's what I have tried to do for my children as well. However small, whatever you do, be the best in the world, so that the world should make a beaten path to your door. And I actualized it today. Of course, the world comes to me for the cure for migraine, cure for vertigo, cure for this, so many things.
And what advice would you like to give for the youth of today's?
What I would like to give, I suppose I have the liberty to speak on a frank, open platform without any limitations, is because I see so many things going wrong. I would advise, apart from academic studies, make sure before you say yes that you settle down with the correct life partner. Because in a short while they start fighting, and immediately after engagement, who are the people greatest suffering? The photographers, because after engagement sometimes they realize they are not a match, and they disconnect, and they say, you keep the album with you, we don't want it.
My God. Okay, that's nice. Okay. What is the knowledge or skill and mindset required to be a doctor or a ENT specialist or head or neck surgery specialist? What mindset or knowledge should a
Now, that is something that I felt I was lacking, because towards the end of my MBBS course, I realized, number one, I don't come from an affluent background. I don't have a hospital to take over. My father was a bank employee. And then I realized, fortunately, that realization set in. To a large extent, it does not set in. I realized toward the end of it is not my knowledge or marks or capacity that really works. What really dictates survival and success in the medical career is only one thing, and that is communication skills. Fortunately, I was also focused on another branch of science, and that is called neuro-linguistic programming, in which if you intensely watch somebody, you can imbibe his qualities. So what I did during my internship, I went to one of the finest communicators, doctors in Mangalore, and I asked him, may I work with you as his assistant during my internship? We are free in the evenings, and then I requested, can I be his assistant looking after? He thought I wanted to imbibe the art and science of medicine, but he did not realize I only wanted to imbibe his speaking skills, because he was one of the finest orators. About a year later, I realized that I was almost better than him. And that guru is Professor B.M. Hegde.
Oh, very
Yes.
dynamic personality.
Yes, yes.
Sir, would you like to recommend any online resources for students getting into health science?
Of course, I have 2 or 3 role models. Now, one is this person who used to take tuition classes for his nephews and cousins in mathematics. And then all whom he taught became outstandingly good, did pretty well. Then he realized he had a capacity of his own, and he started an online coaching program. Now, he was a banker earlier, but then this became too big, and the world over, he became the shining light. Now, he is Mr. Salman Khan, and started what is called the Khan Academy. And all over the world, including India, in very many competitive exams, they use his resource. Khan Academy has got coaching program for NEET, for the IAS exam, civil services, and tons of others. Even now, he keeps uploading a lecture per day. That is the sort of industry you must have. The other person is, which is the biggest academic engineering college in the world, is the Massachusetts Institute of Engineering. And there, which is the powerhouse of knowledge and power, is the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. And would you believe that is headed by an Indian Mangalorean, my good friend called Amar. Well, Amar
Well,
was so good. Yeah, Amar Agarwal was so good in the work he does. But then he says the larger part of the world will not have access to such high levels of academics. Why don't we put an online thing? And he's the one who started Coursera. And Coursera
Coursera.
now, of course, has a huge amount of subjects. You can register for Coursera for any particular course and do that properly online, and they will give you a certificate as well. In certain areas, it has got a validity. So there is enough and more opportunities for persons to grow, and that is what people should take advantage of.
Yes. So, what do you feel about the impact of technology on reduced need for healthcare professionals? Your point of view on this?
Yeah, during the time of my post graduation, I used to go for night classes in advanced computer software application and finish that. You know, I'm a qualified system analyst and having a mastery on software languages. Now, using my knowledge, especially at that time, there was formula translation, Fortran, there was beginners all purpose symbolic instruction code, there was basic, and using a
Basic.
combination, I developed an algorithm for computer diagnosis in my own specialty. And I called my entire department. My professor came, we put a patient, and the computer would ask it relevant questions. At the end of it, it come to a diagnosis, and then it would come to a treatment protocol too. And they were stunned at what is possible. But what I failed to realize is at the end of the diagnostic program, you
Yes.
know, the computer cannot just put a hand on the patient and say, give a tap and say, you'll be all right, and give
Yes.
that compassion and care. And that is when I realized then that far more, you know, is required. And maybe we can have a robot who can do all that. Now, that is one. Somewhere along the way, I came across this individual called Craig Nosh. Now, Craig Nosh realized that a large part of many illnesses are disappearing. And how will students find out what the various these disappearing illnesses and have develop an acumen? He developed an online program called i-human.us, and it became so big. Part of the program I have contributed in the diagnosis of ENT disorders. It
Yes.
became so big that currently it is now utilized as a learning resource online, i-human.us, in very
Ah.
many American colleges. He is now
Oh.
tying up with the Medical Council of India or the NMC so that it might be incorporated for teaching Indian students too. And if a college
Oh.
registers, you can go and say, for example, put diphtheria, or that patient will manifest all the signs and symptoms of diphtheria or a hypertension or a heart attack. Today, of course, the NMC has become a little more wiser and has instructed all medical colleges should have, including ours, we have a skill lab, and for that we have invested nearly 7 crores. We have
Okay.
absolute robots who will manifest any illness that you program into, and students can study all that on the mannequin, which is almost so lifelike and robotic. And when the lady thing, you know, she will actually have the labor pains, she will bleed, and she will deliver a child. Absolutely, almost like a normal thing.
Ah.
Sometimes it is so amazing how so eerie and so frightening it is to see just a robot deliver a baby and all with all its attendant problems.
Yes. So, we would like to know what is the one myth you would like to burst about being a doctor?
The one myth or the thing, you know, what did Hippocrates tell society? Hippocrates, whose oath everybody took. What did Hippocrates tell? Look after not only your doctor, but look after his family as well.
Yes.
Where in the world do you find a special, you know, it is so sad that as a doctor, the money that I make is of greater recognition, because when you go on a plane as a doctor, they don't say, doctors, please come first because some emergency, it is a doctor who is called. No, they say, business class, first class, please come first. And you feel so humiliated. And you feel, if that is saying, am I expected to make money out of the profession? This is a service profession. How many doctors serve the society? For that, there is no recognition. Only if you're making unnecessary enough wealth, then you say business class, first class, please come first. That is the rotten attitude of society. But
Yes.
then look at Manipal. In Manipal, every faculty is given those days 2 seats free up to masters, which is why Manipal attracted the best talent in the world and became, of course, Manipal one of the finest institutions in the world, I must say. So society is doing wrong in not giving the due recognition to a doctor's family. If I want to put my children to Harvard or Stanford, will society help me? No, it is only
No.
the money that I make to sort of a thing. That's a wrong thing. And whom do I hold it accountable? I hold society at accountable.
Very true. And the last question is like your career advice for young people looking to do a MBBS or enter the health sector.
My career advice is, the other day we brought somebody as a chief guest for the MBBS graduating ceremony. And, I was stunned by one sentence. He said, when do you really become recognized as a doctor? After your retirement.
Yes.
You need to realize that, because initially, to really get a grip, it takes about 10 years time. Then beyond that, you develop the requisite social skills and recognition. And by the time you're sort of got to be a big person, it is immediately, 59, 60 years and you're done, you're retired. But that is when you become a towering figure of society. So you must very clearly, if you think that becoming a doctor, you can straight away be driving a Mercedes or a BMW, you are going to be in great trouble and sadly mistaken. And you tend to do a whole lot of unethical things which will not take you far. Your first focus should be the best in whatever you do. For example, in ENT, I need not be good in everything. ENT is a vast subject. What did I do first? I specifically focused on the largest illness the world is suffering from. $3 billion is spent in the treatment for migraine. Treatment, not a cure. And somewhere I made a break and developed a cure for migraine. Look at the tons of people who come to me. So aim to be the best in some area, the rest will follow. That's how it is. Money should follow you, not you should follow money. That is a prime advice that I would like people to realize, and budding doctors to understand. Money should come seeking you, not vice versa.
We shouldn't run behind money.
Yes, money should come to you saying, my God, from where today I had patients coming from Pattambi, from Goa, from nearly about 500 kilometers away. Why? Because the cure for what they suffered from lies only with me, thanks to wonderful friends like you who encouraged and appreciated.
Thank you. So before we wind up, now summarize ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ದೇವನ್ ಅವರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಏನೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಖಾನ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ, ಕೋರ್ಸಿರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೆಲವು ಇದೆ. ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಂಟ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಕೋಚಿಂಗಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡುವ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಓದುದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಏನು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗದೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತ ಶ್ರಮೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪಡಿಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಣದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಾವು ಓಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಹಣ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕಿ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ರೀಫ್ summary, I would like to thank Dr. Devan for sparing his precious, valuable time and guiding our youth. So thank you, sir.
I must say, precious time, because there are tons of patients waiting outside. I've asked all of them to wait because this is far more valuable for me. We must understand what is it. It is not the money that these patients come and give. It is the value of what I can give to eager minds waiting to get the wise counsel from me. That is for me is far more valuable. Change your life and my life will become better.
Yes. So Shravan sir, I finished my webinar.
Dr. Devan, thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule, despite being in practice at your clinic, for accommodating this UNDP program in between treating your patients. You're continuing your human service not just to the patients but also to the future students aspiring to be medical professionals. Thank you very much, Swati, for curating this wonderful interactive webinar with Dr. Devan today. And I think it is probably when you do good work comes back to you. So it was very surprising for me to know that after we scheduled this webinar with Ms. Swati, our career coach from Bangalore, that she was also Dr. Devan's patient many years ago when she was a school student. So
and he's really tremendous.
Really good to see you come full circle, Dr. Devan. Thank you once again for taking time of your busy schedule and being with us today. Thank you, Swati.
Thanks. Thank you,
And
sir, for giving us
for,
My
curating
pleasure,
this
Shravan, and my pleasure,
like part.
Swati. It's been a wonderful morning. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you.